As befits an island-bound people, the High Elves of Ulthuan have a proud maritime tradition. Their sailors are the best in the world, and it is through their naval dominance that their fading kingdoms retain any amount of influence on the other races. There are many reasons that High Elf mariners are so skilled. The longevity of elves gives them hundreds of years to master every intricacy of sailing, and their natural dexterity and keen senses make them highly attuned to the treachery of life on the seas. Most High Elves would arrogantly state that, by simple virtue of being High Elves, they are more competent sailors than all the other races combined. Yet the most skilled seamen among the High Elves would humbly disagree. They would instead point to the fact that, among the mortal races, they are favored by Mathlann, elven god of the sea. These wise sailors offer praise and sacrifices to the oceanic deity in an attempt to curry his favor, and none offer more praises and sacrifices than the High Elves known as the Scions of Mathlann. Hailing from the seafaring kingdom of Kothic, the Scions of Mathlann are a brotherhood of spearmen completely dedicated to the sea god. The spearmen claim that Mathlann chose them, rather than the other way around. Considering the fickle and tempestuous nature of the deity, few envy them this blessing. They are ferocious in battle, wild in comparison to the other warriors of Ulthuan. In that way, they exemplify their god's personality, striking the enemies of Mathlann like a bolt of vengeful lightning. The shining spears and Hippocampus-inscribed shields of the spearmen herald the doom of any who dare challenge them near the ocean, and innumerable foes of Kothic have fallen before their fury. Despite the Scions of Mathlann's excellence in melee combat, they are not that much more dangerous than any other regiment of spearmen in the armies of the High Elves. No, it is only when they fight in defense of Kothic's coastline that the Scions truly set themselves apart. If the cause is dire enough, great sea monsters will rise from the depths to aid the High Elf warriors. These marine beasts crush enemy ships, removing a foe's ability to retreat or reinforce their positions. Their grasping tentacles and gnashing teeth condemn hundreds, if not thousands, of Chaos Worshippers and Dark Elves to a watery grave every time they attempt an invasion. This intervention has saved Ulthuan from devastation more than once. One would think that this would grant the Scions of Mathlann an even more inflated ego than the typical High Elf. After all, one of the greatest gods of the Elves obviously favors them. Yet this is not the case. Every time one of these dreadful sea monsters is roused to wrath, the Scions pray all the more fervently to Mathlann, desperately hoping to appease their ill-tempered master and his foul children. They know better than anyone that Mathlann is a fickle deity, and if not appeased, he could easily send his horrible offspring to wreak havoc on the High Elves. The Scions of Mathlann are unaccounted for during the end times. It is unclear which side of the Elven Civil War they joined, though some contextual evidence suggests that their loyalty was as fickle as their deity. As Sea Lord Aeslin, the living herald of Mathlann, initially sided with Tyrion before turning against him in a climactic battle at the Vortex, it is likely that the Scions of Mathlann followed the path of their patron deity. If so, they likely drowned when Aeslin's death summoned a massive tidal wave that washed away both friend and foe. In Total War Warhammer, the Scions of Mathlann are a spearmen regiment of renown on the High Elf roster, introduced with the Queen and the Crown DLC for Total War Warhammer 2. They cost 800 gold in multiplayer, only slightly more than a normal rank 9 spearman unit. In return for this mild price hike, they gain the Expert Charge Defense and Aura of Protection special abilities. It is this last special ability that makes them an interesting unit, as it grants the Scions and every allied unit within 35 meters a 10% ward save if the Winds of Magic reserve is 15 or higher. This can make the Scions a situationally useful tech piece in domination mode, as they can make a block of infantry on a capture point that much harder to damage if the Winds of Magic are high. As the bonus is small and requires you to not use all of your Winds of Magic to fully exploit, however, the Scions can often be left at home in preference of a normal spearman unit. Compared to their lore, the protective aura of the Scions of Mathlann is a little underwhelming. Not only is Mathlann not a very protective deity, it also doesn't fit with what the Scions are known for in the stories, as they are famous for receiving aid in battle from sea monsters. Giving the Scions the ability to summon something like Rotting Prometheans as a bound spell would have been much more fitting. I get why they didn't do this. For one, the Vampire Coast DLC wasn't out yet by the time the Scions were released. Additionally, giving a humble spearman unit such a strong ability might be considered unbalanced, especially considering how good summons have been across Warhammer's life. I mean, like I said, I get why they did it and gave them a magical aura instead. I just wish we had something more interesting than a fairly bland magical aura to distinguish these spearmen by. That concludes our overview of the briniest High Elves this set of Ulthuan, the Scions of Mathlann. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. It's been quite some time since we visited any of the Elven realms. Our next video will be of a much less noble sort, however, though I'm positive some of you will enjoy it. The rats in my walls seem quite excited about it, at least. They've been chanting little things in my ear as I go to sleep for the past few days. Something about Lord Skunk or some such. Anyways, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment what sort of Regiments of Renown, Monsters of Warhammer, and Items of Legend you'd like to see me cover in the future. Until next time, this has been Sigmar's Chosen, signing off for now.